Yo guys, what's going on? King Farmer here with a tier list video. I'm doing an Apex Legends Season 20 gun tier list for you. I actually already recorded this, but my microphone wasn't working, so that is great. So now we're in take two. I'm going to be doing guns by category. So I'm going to be starting off with the shotguns. That way you can kind of see what the best gun is in each category, because that's the best way of comparing them. Um, so starting off, we've got the EVA. A-tier gun. It's insane. Best shotgun, probably best gun up close. Um, Hammer points on it are kind of broken. It has a digi. It's got everything you want. The only reason it's A-tier is because you have to be barrel stuffing. So that kind of limits it a little bit, which is fine. If this gun had range, it would be insanely broken. So I think it's all right like that. Next, we've got the PK. I think B tier. Shotgun's kind of got a silent buff technically because of no digis on SMGs, and they can use digis. But it's not anything groundbreaking because shotguns are somewhat limited in the playstyle you can use them in. Since in a out in the open fight, you're most likely going to lose to an SMG unless the person is whiffing bad. I think outside EVA, PK is best shotgun. You can put disruptors on it. That makes it even more insane. I think it's good without it. Mastiff, I think worse than the PK, at least in my opinion. I don't like the Mastiff as much. I don't find that as consistent. Can't have disruptors. A little bit worse. IMO. Final shotgun. We've got the Mozam. Now, I know everyone always clowns on the Mozam, but I actually think this gun is not bad because of putting digis on it and as hammer points. If you have hammer points on this gun and a digi, it is like it might be above the PK and the Mastiff, but you need the hammer points. Like you need them. But with hammer points, insane, good gun. Recommend picking it up. It's definitely fun to use. Next, we've got marksman rifles and the scout. I think on the ground marksman rifles. This is the best marksman right now. All around the best close range, mid range, not the far range, because that's going to go to one we talk about later. But overall, it's the best. I would definitely pick it up. I think marksmans and snipers are pretty good right now, so I would recommend using it. Next, we've got 30-30. I think because of the nerf no do loader, slightly less damage per bullet. I think it is now worse than the scout because I think the thing it really excelled at over the scout was range. And now you do a little bit less damage. It closes that gap a little bit. Although I would say with Skull Piercer, I would probably take the 30-30 over the scout. And even normally, I might still take it over the scout, but that's only because comfortability, even though it might not be better necessarily. I just kind of like using it more than the scout for that range reason, because when you have a full charge 30-30, it does 53 damage compared to a scout's 32 damage to the body. So that's a 21 damage increase from the scout to the 30-30, which is kind of big when you're poking at range, but they're kind of interchangeable. Next, we've got the triple take, which not horrible, but it's by far the worst marksman rifle. I still pick it up if I can't find a scout or a 30-30. And actually, iron sights, this is like the easiest marksman rifle to use with iron sights. So that is something, if you don't have a sight, this gun's not bad. But I would pick up all the other marksmans over it. Finally, we've got the bow. Best marksman rifle, but it's in the care package. So you would hope it'd be better, but damage at range, it's the best. Damage mid range, it's the best. Damage close range, it's the best. Shatter caps are really nice close range. You can do a lot of damage with them. Find the bow, always pick it up. Moving on to snipers, I'm putting them all in the B tier. I think they're good. I think marksman rifles are a lot more versatile and a lot better to pick up. But these definitely have a place. If you're just rotating the zone and you're just shooting at people that are 200 meters away, snipers are gonna be better than marksman. But I think the longbow is the best all around. The fire rate helps with that. So, but it's not always the one I pick up. Sentinel, most fun sniper to use, hands down. It's just a fun gun to use. Off spawn, it's kind of insane. One shield cell to charge it up, and you can hit for like 158 to the head and one shot anyone off drop unless they have a good helmet. So, really good gun to utilize off drop while charge up. And then charge rifle, the best at range, further than 300 meters, it's 110 to the body. You can one shot people to the head at that range. It is really good at range. Mid range, not as much. The only thing about it is it's kind of difficult to use if you don't use it a lot. You probably are going to be struggling a little bit. And then the final sniper, the Kraber. Unsurprisingly, S tier. This is debatably the best gun in the game. It one shots to the head, 140 to the body. It's crazy. It can change the outcome of a fight with just one bullet. There's not really any other gun besides maybe one that can do that. So, it's crazy. Always pick it up. Always use it. Make sure you hit your shots. If you hit your shots, you're going to get a lot of kills and do a lot of damage. Moving on, LMGs. First up, we've got the Devotion. And I don't think this gun is good. I think it's one of the worst guns in the game. You need a turbocharger. Even with a turbocharger, you strafe so slow. I'd rather use my turbocharger on a different gun that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Just not great. I would say maybe third or fourth worst gun in the game. I wouldn't use it at all. Get rid of it as soon as you can. Spitfire, I think better than the Devotion, but I would rather use an R301 than a Spitfire. Like, the only thing the Spitfire has is a lot of bullets in the mag, but it's not great DPS, 162 DPS, slow strafe speed. It's not great. Not the worst, but I would get rid of it as soon as you can. Next, we have got the Rampage. And in my opinion, this is probably the worst LMG. The only good thing about it, well, there's two good things about it. One is the thermite, which still doesn't make your DPS comparable to other ARs or SMGs. Well, more ARs that you're going to be fighting, where you would want to use a thermite, but it can break doors to siege buildings, which is kind of nice, but it's such a small thing. And where I think this gun is the best is literally just if you can't find a marksman rifle, you just use this to poke, because it does 26 damage to the body, which isn't horrible poke. It's better than all the ARs. It's worse than every gun that's meant for range, but it's better than all the ARs. It's better than all of the LMGs. So it's not horrible at that. There's better guns. Get rid of this gun as soon as you can. Last LMG, and the one that is the best LMG, is the L-Star. And of course, this got a semi-big nerf, and now that you can't put barrel stabilizers on it. Recoil is still not horrible, but it's just going to make it a little bit more inconsistent, a little bit harder to hit your shots. ARs kill faster. It has 170 DPS. It's got decent hip fire, a lot of bullets per mag, but it's going to lose in DPS to SMGs at close range. It's going to lose to ARs at DPS at far range. You're probably going to lose to ARs at close range too. So It's not bad. It's fun, but I think almost every AR you should take over this gun besides like maybe one, and that's debatable. Now talking about ARs, this is our next class. And first off, we've got the Flatline, which I think is B tier. I think it's good. I think it is probably the second best AR, or the second best AR that's used as an AR, because there's going to be one AR that we're going to talk about that I don't think you should use as an AR. You should use as your close range SMG substitute. But I think B tier, 180 DPS. Recoil is not horrible, but it's not the easiest. Good, or a large magazine, a lot high damage per mag, good gun. This is like the standard for a good gun. So pick it up. You'll do well as long as you can control recoil. You'll do well. Next, we have got the best AR, the Hemlock, which I think is A tier. I know they nerfed it. They nerfed the hipfire spread, and they nerfed one damage less. But actually, I don't notice the hipfire like that much. And from what I've seen in the research I did, the one damage less per bullet does not change the amount of bursts you need to kill enemies on like any armor. It's still what the amount of bursts you needed before the nerf is the same you need now. So I don't think the gun is actually that much worse or worse at all now. It's still insane. It's gonna pump out damage. It's fairly easy to use. It's the best AR, hands down. If you have a flatline, unless you're just, trying to enjoy the flatline, always pick up the Hemlock. Best AR. Next, we've got the second burst AR, the Nemesis, which by numbers, I would say is a little bit worse than the Flatline. Although I would like interchange these two guns. The only thing about the Nemesis, the only like negative over using it instead of a Flatline is the fact that your charge up time. And when it's low, when it's not charged up very much, your DPS is going to be much lower. And like to a Hemlock, you're just going to like, they'll do 200 to you by the time you do like 125. So like it can be tough. You have to pick your angles a little bit better. But I sometimes take it over the Flatline, but I would always take a Hemlock over the Nemesis. Next, we have got the Havoc, which this is the gun I was talking about earlier. A tier, 202 DPS with or without turbocharger. The only reason, or the one benefit of the turbocharger is that you don't have that charge up time, so you shoot instantly. And if you don't have a turbocharger, all you have to do is literally just like pre-charge it up. So when you peak, you're instantly shooting. And this gun is insane. It's got higher DPS than every SMG, which is crazy. It's got a lot of bullets, a lot of damage per mag. Like this is an SMG replacement for sure. Like you could definitely use this instead of an SMG. It's a little bit harder to use in SMGs. You're gonna have AR strafe speed and stuff and handling attributes, but it's not that significant. So I wouldn't recommend using this gun at range unless you're a cracked M&K player that can jitter aim, or you just have insane recoil control, because it is difficult to control at range. You can pair this up with any of the marksmen, and it's going to be a really deadly combo. So, and finally, we have the R301 for the ARs. This gun has fallen so much in recent seasons. C tier. I think it is the worst AR right now. There's just like nothing great about it. It's like the Flatline, but worse. The only thing that's better about the R301 than the Flatline is the recoil. The recoil is much easier to control on the R301, but it's got worse DPS, worse damage per mag. It's light ammo, which isn't quite as good at heavy ammo as far range. I just would try and trade this out for all these other 3 ARs. It's not the end of the world. If you have it, it's going to be fine. You know, you're going to do damage. You're going to be able to shoot people pretty accurately from far away, but it's not like it doesn't excel at anything. So, and it's just worse than the Flatline. Like the L-Star and the R301 are almost interchangeable for using them as like that mid to long range role that you would want an assault rifle for. Right now, I would probably take the R3 over the L-Star, but it doesn't. You could use either of them and they would be fine. Moving on to the SMGs. First, we've got the Alternator, which I'm going to put in B tier. I think this is a good SMG. I think all of the SMGs are decent right now, but if you don't have disruptors for this gun, it's not great. It is the worst SMG then, for sure. Without disruptors, you've got 160 DPS. Obviously, when you have disruptors, it's 190, but once you break your armor, you're back to 160. So good. With disruptors, it's an A tier gun, but because of that caveat that you need disruptors in order to be good, and which is a legendary hop up, which aren't that common to find, I think it is B tier. I would take a lot of other SMGs over it personally. Next, we've got the car. I like the car. The car is probably one of my favorite SMGs right now, only because sometimes I can struggle a little bit with the Prowler. Even though I think the Prowler and Volt are probably a little bit better than the car, it's not drastic. I think them all kind of interchangeable. This has the highest DPS of them at 186. Sometimes it can feel good to use. You know, you can use light ammo, heavy ammo, light mag, heavy mag. It's a lot more flexible in that way. So it's good. Pick it up if you see it. Then we've got the Prowler, which, like I said, I think is a little bit better than the car. If you're good with it, otherwise get the car because full auto guns are always a little bit easier to use than burst guns. But definitely practice with the Prowler, get better at it because I think it'll be a little bit better. It is 163 DPS, but with burst guns, you're not really that concerned about DPS. You're more concerned about how many bursts it takes to kill because that lowers your DPS a lot because your DPS works with like your rounds per minute and your reload time. But with burst guns, like if the Prowler can kill in 3 bursts with purple, even with up to purple armor. And so if you 3 burst someone, you're killing faster than like every SMG. So it's kind of broken. If you're that accurate, you should, just go pro. But next we've got R9, which this is my favorite gun in the game, unsurprisingly, as a controller player. Favorite gun right here. But the recoil nerf is pretty big because it's making it harder to hit your shots. And already you couldn't really mess with this gun because 17 bullets, 11 damage per bullet. You had 187 damage per mag, which means you could only miss 1 bullet to kill someone on blue and 3 to kill someone on white. And with the recoil now, you're gonna miss more than that. So it's gonna be really difficult to one mag. Without disruptors, I'm taking it over the alternator. But if you have disruptors on the alternator, you're definitely taking the alternator over the R9. Next and last SMG, the Volt, which is probably the best. I think it's probably the best SMG. Really good damage per mag. Well, going back to best SMG, these are kind of interchangeable, I think, for best SMG. It's kind of whichever you prefer. I'm better with the Volt, so I prefer the Volt. Really good damage per bag, 180 DPS, super consistent, easy to use. Really good gun. pick it up if you see it. Even without a mag, you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to one mag people somewhat consistently if you have decent aim. So, yeah, good gun. Pick it up. My recommended SMG, but you could also take the Prowler. Finally, we've got the pistols and the P20, which straight up worst gun in the game. Don't pick it up if it's the only gun you have, but the second you find any other gun, get rid of it. Horrible. Hammer points don't do anything for it. It's terrible. Don't use it. Then we've got the RE, which may be surprising to people. I'm putting in B tier for the sole reason that it can use a digi and SMGs can't, and this is kind of your replacement SMG if you want a digi. So if you have hammer points on it, it's actually pretty good and can compete with SMGs anytime, like even not in smoke. But without hammer points, you're not really going to be able to compete with SMGs when you're not in smoke. The only SMG can compete with is the alternator, like DPS wise, like base guns. But the alternator just has more damage per bullet, and you're going to hit more shots with it, so it'll beat out the RE most of the time. But good gun if you've a digi and you're playing Bangalore. You could definitely pick this up and use it. I think it'll be good in that role. With hammer points, you're going to fry a little bit, so use it. And last but not least, the Wingman, which I think this is the best, not just the best pistol, which obviously it's always been the best pistol, but I think it is the best gun in the game. This gun alters fights. 50 damage to the body, 95 damage to the head. If someone doesn't have purple armor, you can 2-tap them to the head. You 4-tap people to the body on purple. It's insane. It's broken. Yes, they nerfed it. You can't put a digi on it, and it doesn't have boosted loader, but still, it's so good. This, in my opinion, the best and most broken gun in the game, because I don't think it takes as much skill to use as the Kraber does, and it changes fights just like a Kraber does, especially because it's a lot more versatile as a Kraber because you can use it at any range. Always pick this gun up. Always use it. It's actually insane how broken it is in ranked and even more so competitive. So I hope you guys liked the tier list. If you have any video suggestions you'd like me to do, please comment down below. Comment any questions or things you want to add to the tier list down there too. Like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 250 subs by the end of March, so I would greatly appreciate that if you would subscribe and share it to your friends and family. I'm have some videos planned for the future. I want to do a Legends tier list for season 20 because the Legend meta kind of got shook up a lot. So if you guys want to see that, please let me know down below. For shorts, I'm planning on doing a short series going over Legends perks and which ones you want to choose for each Legend. So if you'd like to see that, let me know. And any other video ideas you may have, feel free to comment them down below. I'm going to try to reply to every comment I get. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.